Okay, so these window boxes that we have up on the building did receive very minimal care. If we were right on our game, they would have looked better at this point in the season. We have not had a hard frost as yet, but you can see the salvia worked quite well. They're still blooming on the box that got a little bit more care than the other. The hummingbirds loved this. So we have a couple gals that work on the other side of these windows, and they got to enjoy the hummingbirds all season long. Now the hummingbirds have gone. The window boxes look very tired, so we are going to give them an upgrade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop these out, and I'll be back to you in a few minutes to introduce you to the new plants that we're going to put in. Now, the really hard work was just done. Window box is clean, ready to go for a fresh new start. And we've got a variety of plants going in. And 3 out of the 4 varieties are hardy to this area, which means they would possibly winter over in the window box. Now, I never guarantee that plants will winterize, survive the winter in a container outside. It just kind of depends on the location in the plants, how well established they become before the final freeze hits. So I've got different textures, different colors to get us through the season, hopefully right up until Christmas. And possibly would add some greens to it at that point. I would say the flashiest plant that we have going in, which is actually native to New England, is wintergreen. And this is native to New England. You're probably not going to find it in the woodlands looking quite this vigorous and hardy, but you will find it. It is evergreen. It has these little teeny, it's got a couple late flowers on it, so little tiny, almost blueberry-like flowers on it. And then you get these great crop of berries. And this is just a straight variety. It's not anything fancy, so I'm sure the nurseries have helped them along because these are certainly gorgeous berries on these plants. So we've got these to use. We also have these great variegated Liriope, and it's not Liriope, it's Carex, which looks identical to the variegated Liriope. This is an ornamental grass. It is Carex Ice Dance. It is very hardy to this area, so that works great. So that's going to give us a different texture completely. We also have these great little blue star junipers, which you could use in your gardens as well as any of your containers. So any of these plants so far would be just great garden perennials for you too. The one that is not hardy is this great little arc fern. It's called Blue Star. Oops, I don't know if you can see that under my finger there. Not winter hardy in this area, but great foliage plant, and if you time it right, you could actually snag these out of your window boxes just before you get a hard frost, bring them inside and use them inside all winter. And then you just keep them inside, or you could bring them back out again next year. I used them at my own home this year with impatiens, and I didn't care for, I don't have a lot of time to fuss over my plants. They just did superb at home in a container, so well worth it. So try and get them out before the hard frost hits. So let me do a quick layout on these, and we're just going to kind of play with these a bit until we get the right combination of height and color and texture, and see what we've got for room in our window boxes. Oop, a little snagged in the wire. So we'll have to kind of see, and maybe the first layout isn't what we run with at the end. We'll just kind of play a little bit, see what we've got, because we're trying to get that combination of height and textures. And I want to make sure I have enough to go around to all my window boxes too. And so you could give, 8 designers the same group of plants, and you're going to come up with 8 different layouts. And like that one's really tall. Do I move that one to the middle? And these will fill out a bit. So I still have my little junipers to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a rough layout and show you basically how to pop them out of the pots and get it started, and then I will come back to you with the finished window box. Let's see. So what happens is these ferns are very bluey, and these junipers pick up on that, but they're totally different textures. So this gives us a bit of drape to it. That gives us a little bit of height. I'm thinking that works out pretty well because we have the focus in the middle here with the red, and yet your eye still gets carried through everything. I think I'm going to do that as an install, and we'll come back and show you the finished product. All right, so a little bit of time went by. I just fiddled with them a bit. Everything got pulled out of their pots and placed into the planter. It pretty much was the way I thought it would lay out. And I just wanted to let you know that when I put in these plants, I'm not putting them in vertically necessarily. The back one was totally vertical, the way you would normally plant a plant. But I do a little cheating so that basically these are tipped forward a bit, so they're really showing their best face, and they begin to spill over a little bit. They still are well planted in here with plenty of soil on them. So they'll be, all the roots will be in contact with the soil, not a problem at all. But it just allows you to see more of this. If I had put these all in rigid, you would have more of a planting like what is in our cart. But as soon as you take something and put it this way, as you can see, all of a sudden you have a whole different face showing. So that allows us to get more exposure and coverage out of all these plants. So everything went in. I'm just doing the kind of little finishing touches that you would do whether you're doing something in the house or outside, and just doing a little cleanup. I noticed that on these calyxes there was a little damage on the foliage. So again, I'm just coming and making a new nice narrow cut to clean them all up on these little pieces. People driving by are never going to notice, but I'd notice. So anyways, just those little things can make a big difference on your plant. If one is not perfect, you're just going to nip off the little imperfections. So I think this planter is ready to go for the next, it'll give us right up until Christmas. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to watch the weather, because I would love these ferns to come in and be able to winter over. At that point, I could even, maybe some of the greens would be available for the holidays, and I could replace these with some holiday greens. So, because everything else, this even will stay through the winter. These we can, this is all fingers crossed. We can give you a look back at this and kind of update it as we go along, and you can see along with us our successes and just our successes. We'll leave it at that. So we will follow up with you as we go along with our window boxes. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.